Fifth grade math lesson 5.5. We're going to be connecting fraction of problems to multiplication. So let's go ahead and start on our whiteboards. I would like you to write each of the numbers in expanded form. So let me show you how to do this first one. I could write it as 40 plus 1 plus 8/10, or I could write it 40 plus 1 plus 8 times 1/10. So would you go ahead for number 2 and write 50 and 13/100ths in expanded form? So I could do 50 plus 1/10 plus 3/100ths, or 50 plus 1 times 1/10 plus 3 times 100th. Let's try it for these two. Please write. First of all, please say each one of those numbers aloud. All right, write them in expanded form. Pause the video as you do this. All right, so for 318 and 500ths, I could do 300 plus 10 plus 8 plus 500ths. For 71/100ths, I could write it like this: 7 times 1/10 plus 1 times 100th. Or you might see it more familiar. We've done more of this way: 7 times 1/10 plus 1 times 100th. Lots of different ways to write it. We're going to go ahead and move into our journal, page 167. We have been doing fraction of problems since Unit 4. But what we're going to do in this page is that we are going to solve the fraction of problems. We're going to use the rule to complete the table. So in number 1, we're going to take 1/5 of 10, 1/5 of 25, 1/5 of 15, and 1/5 of 30. So 1/5 of 10 is 5 times what gives me 10? 2. 1/5 of 25, 5 times what gives me 25, and we have just one group of it, 5. 1/5 of 15, 5 times what gives me 15, 3. And 1/5 of 30, 5 times what gives me 30? The answer would be 6. Number 2, look at this function machine and table compared to the function machine and table in problem 1. You don't have a partner to talk about it with, but what do you notice? If you notice, the number that goes in is the same. But if you look, instead of talking about one group, we're talking about 3 groups. So each of these numbers, when it comes out, was 3 times greater. 3 times greater than 5. 3 times greater than 3. 3 times greater than 6. Because it wasn't just 1/5, it was 3/5. Moving down the page, number 3, fill in the missing out numbers. This time we're talking 2/3. So watch, when you figure out 3 times what gives you the in number, we have to multiply it by 2 because we're talking 2 groups. 2 groups. So in is 9, so 3 times what gives me 9, which is 3, and then we multiply it by 2 to get 6. The next number is, and I'll just put it right here, I think, is 24. So what, 3 times what gives me 24? Well, 8 does, but then we have to take it times 2 because we have 2 groups. So the next one is 12. So 3 times what gives me 12? 4, but we have 2 groups of 4, so 4 times 2 is 8. Next one, 3 times what would give me 6? 2, and we have 2 groups of 2, so 2 times 2 is 4. Let's look at number 4. Fill in the missing out numbers. So just remember, our starting is always 3/4 of, and I'll go ahead and put that. And then we have 3 groups. So once we figure out this number, we're going to multiply it by 3 because we have 3 groups of that. So let's start with 3/4 of 8. So I'm going to put 8 here. Okay, so 4 times what gives me 8? 2, and then we have 3 groups of 2, so 2 times 3 is 6. Now, let's take the next one. 3/4 of 20. So 4 times what gives me 20? 5. And then remember, we have 3 groups of 5. So 5 times 3 is 15. Let's do the same thing again. But this time we're taking 3/4 of 16. So 4 times what gives me 16? Notice why you need to know those multiplication facts. It goes so much quicker when you do not have to look those up. So 4 times 4 gives me 16, and we have 3 groups of 4. So 4 times 3 is 12. Next, let me rewrite that again. Next one is 3/4 of 28. So 4 times what gives me 28? Well, 4 times 7, and we have 3 groups of 7. So 7 times 3 is 21. Number 5, Stella had a carton of 12 eggs. She used 4/6 of the eggs to bake loaves of bread for a bake sale. How many are in 1/6 of the carton? So in other words, what is 1/6 of 12 eggs? A dozen eggs. 6 times what gives me 12? 2. So 1/6 would be 2 eggs. How many eggs did Stella use for the bread? Well, here it tells me she used 4/6. So here I need to take 4/6 of 12. So first of all, 6 times what gives me 12? 2, and there are 4 groups of 2. So 4 times 2 is 8. C, write a multiplication number for the problem. Well, I just did that, so let me rewrite it on the space. So I took 4/6 of 12 and got 8. Number 6, A shoe store had 30 pair of tennis shoes in stock. 1 week, they had a sale and sold 8/10 of the shoes. How many pairs of tennis shoes did they sell that week? Well, first of all, I'm actually going to start with the number story, the number model. So I'm going to take 8/10 of 30. Okay. Remember, of means to multiply. So I'm actually going to replace that. Now I'm going to solve. 10 times what gives me 30? Well, 3 does, but we have 8 groups of 3, so I have to take 3 times 8 to get 24. They sold 24 pairs of tennis shoes. Let's go ahead and do a little bit of review on the math boxes on page 168. Number 1 says, find a common denominator for 1/2 and 1/3. What is the common denominator? Well, I could write out the multiples. 2, 4, 6, 3, 6. I could use 6 as my common denominator. So then what I need to do is to go ahead and change each one to 6. Here, I multiplied by 3, so I'm going to multiply the top by 3. Here, I multiply by 2, so I'll multiply the numerator by 2. Now that I have common denominators, I can go ahead and add straight across. 3 plus 2 is 5. I keep 6 the same. 1/2 minus 1/3. Well, we know that 1/2 is the same as 3/6. 1/3 is the same as 2/6. And now I can do 3 minus 2 is 1. 6 I keep the same. Number 2, on average, hair grows about 1 25 centimeters per month. Fingernails grow about 3/10 of a centimeter per month. About how much more does hair grow in a month than fingernails? So we're figuring out difference. So we're going to take the hair growth in a month, subtract fingernail growth, and I can just put a 0 here. Bring my decimal point straight down. 5 minus 0 is 5. Cannot take 2 minus 3, so I'm going to borrow from the ones place. Put that in the tens place. 12 minus 3 is 9. So 95/100ths of a centimeter. Number 3, are the expressions below equal to 57 and 26 thousandths? Fill in yes or no for each expression. So 50 plus 7 would be 57. And then 2 in the hundredths place, 6 in the thousandths. Yep, that one works. Next one, 50 plus 7 is 57. Plus 2 in the tenths and 6 in the hundredths. Nope, doesn't work. 5 times 10 is 50, plus 7 times 1 is 7. So that'd be 57. 2 in the hundredths place and 6 in the thousandths. This one works as well. Number 4. This last one you are going to do by yourself. You're going to round each decimal to the nearest tenth. Go ahead and do that. Pause the video. Rounded to the nearest tenth would be 8/10, and I can say 80/100ths. I can put a 0 behind that. 3 1/10 or 3 10/100ths. 813 5/10 or 50/100ths. And 6 1/10 or 6 10/100ths. Elias wants to finish the last 89 pages of his book in 3 hours. If he reads at the same speed the whole time, how many pages must he read each hour? Report your answer as a mixed number. So I'm going to take the 89 pages he has left and write that over the 3 hours. In other words, you're going to have to maybe find a spot somewhere. You have to divide 3 goes into 8 twice. 3 times 2 is 6. Subtract. Bring down your 9. How many 3s are there in 29? There's 9. Just 27. And now I can say he must read 29 2/3 pages each hour. All right, lastly, estimate and solve. 912 is closest to 900. 87 is closest to 90. 9 times 9 is what? 81 with how many zeros behind? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. All right, please take 912 times 87. Go ahead, solve that last one. And then don't forget to take pictures and upload it to Schoology. Have a great day.